Hi there everyone, Lars here with a review and recommendation for the end of the month of Valentine's, brought to you by Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and I want to talk about Tsumiki Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life. This gorgeous manga is just so much fun. This is the healing, cozy, comfy, great rom-com stuff that we need in our lives. If you feel like you're having a really bad day, you can pick up this manga, you can read a chapter or two, and you will have your soul completely healed, believe you me. So let's talk about what makes this story so great. The story follows the adventures, the shenanigans, and the relationship between Shinsou Yukata and Tsumiki Ogami. Shinsou is a typical normal boy, and Tsumiki is a werewolf. In this story, all kinds of monstrous creatures have come out of hiding and have been accepted into society. Setting aside all of the problems that might inspire, all of the weirdness, we get to see a truly cosmopolitan world where people are able to overcome their differences and get along. And that's just so fantastic. We don't have enough of these kinds of stories. Well, Shinsou has decided to go to a high school that serves almost 50% monstrous people, or Genshin as they call them within the manga. When he goes there, he's actually escaping his middle school friends. You see, as he's been getting older and as he's trying to navigate the contours of teenage life and all of those hormones and weirdness and how relationships change, how people change, Shinsou finds himself feeling, well, a little bit abandoned. He doesn't know who he really wants to be. He doesn't know how he's going to be able to really get along with other people. So he's decided that, you know what, he's going to get as far away as he can from his middle school friends. He's going to start completely fresh, and he wants to start in a school where there's a lot of people who aren't human. Just that way he can try to figure out who he himself is. Maybe he'll be able to learn by observing from these people, and right off the bat he runs into Tsumiki, who just comes in the most absolute fantastical way possible by destroying school property. She doesn't really mean to, she's just a werewolf trying to get her overlarge shoes into her locker, and it's just not working all quite right. And so thus begins a conversation, and they end up being in the same classroom. Now, Shinsou really keeps to himself again, trying to observe people, getting to know them. Where does he fit into all of this? And Tsumiki is like a beacon that just attracts everyone to her. She's so cute, so personable, she's so funny, so adventurous, that people just can't help but be attracted to her. However, because she is just this gorgeous, cute werewolf, and everyone starts asking rather silly, somewhat invasive questions, Shinsou can't help but give a little bit of his snarky opinion. We get some personality to this guy who's trying to pass himself off as a blank slate. And Tsumiki's like, hey, you know what, there's a little bit more to you. And so she decides to talk with him, and he finally admits to, well, he just doesn't feel like he fits in. What should he do? He doesn't understand youth. What does it mean to be a teenager? He feels left behind. What are my feelings supposed to be? And Tsumiki says, hey, you know what? Being a human is hard, just like being a monster is hard. And we can figure this out together. We could be friends. And he's like, really? And she's like, oh yeah, totally. Grabs him and jumps right out of the third-story window carrying him. And from that moment on, brings him in as a friend who she takes home. She visits him, they do homework together, they go to festivals, they do all different kinds of things together. And what I love about this story is how you get to see a very real and honest friendship blossom between these two characters. Yes, there are rom-com elements to it. Yes, we know who the final pair is. And there's also some other really cute little couples that are being developed on the side as well. But primarily what takes place is two teenagers trying to come to terms with being teens. What does that mean? What are your feelings? How do you communicate with people that you don't get along with? How do you make friends with people that you weren't expecting to be friends with? How do you overcome miscommunication problems, cultural differences? How do you help each other out when there's homework to be done that someone's really weak at doing? Help someone out with a test? What does it mean to support someone when they aren't very good at sports? What is it like to help someone gain the confidence to go and join a club? What does it mean to help someone to overcome some bad tendencies? All of this is in this story, and it's done in just such a heartfelt, cheerful way. The artwork definitely lends itself to being just an absolute feast for the eyes. Super gorgeous, super warm. The drawing is the illustrations are just perfect for it. But at the heart of it are these two characters, Shinsou and Tsumiki. And we get so much of Tsumiki's personality right off the bat that it might make Shinsou seem, again, like an absolute blank slate. And that's because that's the kind of person that he's trying to be at first. But what's great about this story, as opposed to so many other stories where one of the protagonists, or especially the main protagonist, is meant to be bland, so that way others who are reading the story can kind of project themselves onto the MC, Shinsou has a personality of his own, which comes out more and more. And we actually get some flashbacks to who he was as a middle schooler, and we find out he was a pretty rambunctious, silly little kid. And it's, again, because he felt abandoned and lost in growing up that he wasn't sure what to do, and so reverted to being a blank slate. But thanks to Tsumiki, she brings out of him his real personality. We get to see his friendliness, we get to see a sense of humor, we see his dedication to friends and to family, we see earnestness, we see bravery, and there's that wry sense of humor that crops up every now and then as well. And we also realize that there is actually a shy side to him as well that is kind of out in the open, that at the same time he tries to hide. And I like that contradictory nature within a character where they have a certain quality that they're trying to hide from everyone else, and in so doing kind of project, especially within a high school setting. It works really well, and it feels very realistic and applicable, I believe, to many who will come across this story. And one of the things that I particularly like is that while Tsumiki takes the reins in a lot of the scenarios and situations that the two find themselves in, and it's her carefree, very honest, very blunt way of dealing with the world that helps to solve a lot of problems, she isn't always the one to carry the day. She isn't always the one to be right. Sometimes it's Shinsou. Sometimes it's one of their classmates. Sometimes it's one of Tsumiki's rivals. And that's what makes the story so good. It doesn't put anyone down. Everyone has a valid perception. Everyone has a valid opinion. Everyone has their own story. And by coming together, by communicating, by striving to find commonality and friendship, everyone finds a chance to be validated. Everyone finds a chance to be who they wish to be. And the rougher sides of themselves, or the more pathetic qualities of their personalities, begin to get smoothed out thanks to their friends and their experiences. So they become more confident. They become more aware of their feelings. They are able to not flaunt their chosen gifts as monsters, but rather treat them as opportunities to share with other people. Rather than be like, I'm a vampire, I'm so cool, and I can have any woman I want. Instead, it's like, no, I actually just want to know what it really means to be loved and to have friends. Oh my gosh, there are actually people who want to be friends with me, not just because I'm a vampire who exudes this amazing, alluring charm. Or a unicorn's like, everyone just loves me. But I hope you understand, people, like, I love that you love me, but I am looking for a pure relationship with other people. I'm a unicorn, for crying out loud. Or with the student body president who's a lightning dragon, who feels like he can't really get too close to anyone because he will literally shock them to death. And bringing then in Tsumiki and Shinsou, who help him to develop close relationships without needing physical touch, because that's the thing that he fears most. And to realize, wait a second, you can get close to someone without having to be physical? Oh, that's interesting. And I love that you have those kinds of conversations within this story. I like that you get to see the monsters dealing with their own problems and finding commonality with the humans, while the humans have to also work through their own issues as teenagers and become friends with the monsters. It's just, again, this is so healing and wholesome. And yes, throughout the whole story, we see little by little Shinsou and Tsumiki becoming more romantically involved. And it feels natural because, first and foremost, they are friends. And some of their little romantic setups come about from misunderstandings between human and werewolf, but thanks to their constant attempts to truly communicate with each other, to learn from each other, by finding that understanding, Shinsou and Tsumiki begin to realize, oh, they weren't trying to flirt with me. That was just a communication error right there. But in this instance, that might have actually been a little bit of flirting. What exactly does that mean? I don't want to lose our friendship, but this other person really is cute. I like seeing that slow burn progression in a situation where, again, we have this very cosmopolitan setting. Everyone's learning what it means to become friends, and everyone's learning to find themselves throughout their high school adventure. It's just very uplifting, really awesome. And I know I keep saying that again like a broken record, but because it is true. To round off this Valentine's month, I hope that you will give Tsumiki Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life a chance and read through it. It is amazing. Please support the mangaka in this, because we might just get an anime for this incredible story. I would love that so much. So there you have it, my review and recommendation for Tsumiki Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life. If you're looking for other great reviews, analyses, insights, writing advice, and the likes, then please check out our other videos here on our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you would like to support the work that we do here, then please check out the books that we have published. Links for them are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.